The Miami Heat, a team often synonymous with grit and determination, finds itself in an unexpected predicament. After a season filled with high hopes and aspirations, fans are left reeling as the team's shooting woes persist, leading to a series of disappointing performances. The Heat's recent games have turned into a showcase of missed opportunities, with three-point shots clanging off the rim more often than not. The numbers tell the story. Statistics reveal a stark reality. The Heat are grappling with one of the worst shooting percentages in the league. Their struggles aren't confined to just one area. Both field goal and three-point shooting numbers have plummeted, leaving analysts and fans questioning the team's offensive strategy. In recent matchups, the Heat have been unable to find any rhythm, often finishing games with shooting percentages that would make any coach cringe. Frustration mounts for fans and players. The atmosphere in the arena has shifted dramatically. What once was a fortress of support has now turned into a place of frustration. Fans, who have cheered on the team through thick and thin, are struggling to comprehend how a squad with so much talent can falter so spectacularly in critical moments. Players, too, have expressed their bewilderment. The collective eye-rolling during timeouts and the dejected body language on the bench tell a story of their own. In search of solutions, head coach Erik Spoelstra has acknowledged the crisis, emphasizing the need for a renewed focus on fundamentals. "We need to get back to the basics," he remarked, underscoring the importance of practice and preparation. The team is working tirelessly to regain its shooting form, but the path to redemption appears steep. Each missed shot adds to the mounting pressure, creating a snowball effect that can be hard to shake. Looking ahead, as the season progresses, the Heat will need to dig deep to rediscover their shooting touch. With the playoffs looming, each game becomes increasingly critical. The question on every fan's mind is whether this team can overcome their shooting slump and return to the form that once made them contenders. For now, the hope is that the Heat will find a way to turn the tide before it's too late. Erik Spoelstra has tried to mix and match all preseason long, and none of it has resulted in a preseason win. With the loss to Atlanta on Monday night, the Heat are now 0-5 in preseason play. It's the first time since 2007 that Miami has started a preseason 0-5, and just the second time since 2015 that Miami will have a losing record in the preseason. In one breath, it is just preseason, and none of this matters. In another breath, if Monday was supposed to be a dress rehearsal for next week, there are some major flashing red flags ahead for this team. Miami loses to Atlanta in overtime. The fact that Miami blew an overtime lead isn't really cause for concern, since none of the players who were on the floor for that would be on the floor during a real overtime game. What is concerning is that Monday night had to go to overtime in the first place. Miami dressed 3/5 of their guaranteed starting lineup, Bam Adebayo, Norman Powell, and Andrew Wiggins, and continued to mix and match with some of their other options. This time around, Erik Spoelstra elected to start Kel'el Ware and Drew Smith. But despite playing an Atlanta B squad that sat out Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, and Kristaps Porzingis, among others, Miami trailed after the first quarter 35-24. The main problems that emerged are that Ware and Adebayo looked clunky when they were together on the floor. Smith isn't the answer for Miami's lack of a true playmaking guard, 3 points and 1 assist in 17 minutes, and Miami shot 5-34 from 3. Opening night is next week. There is a counterargument to be made that Spoelstra is just mixing and matching, and since this is preseason, none of this matters. Miami did have a sizable first-half lead last week against Orlando and was right there with Milwaukee and San Antonio, while starters were still in. But perhaps the deepest concern, beyond the injuries that have racked up, is that Miami came into this preseason with the intention of playing a more up-tempo style and has yet to top 120 points in a game. In 3 of their 5 games, they have yet to top 110 points. There have been bright spots, and Spoelstra does have some options to play with, but if Monday was a dress rehearsal, then Miami needs to go back to the drawing board. Despite an off game against the Atlanta Hawks, it's difficult for Miami Heat fans not to be completely impressed with the consistent improvement that Kel'el Ware has made this preseason. After a summer that was more miss than hit for Ware, he's certainly begun to put it all together since the start of training camp. Sure, There was some uneasiness mixed in after Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra's comments, but it's safe to say that Ware has been one of the few bright spots for the Heat in the preseason. What makes it all the more impressive, aside from the strong production, is the fact that Ware is doing things that big men shouldn't be able to do. For his size, Ware is consistently proving that he's much more than just a strong rebounder and an around-the-rim finisher. He's taking opponents off the dribble one-on-one and has better post skill than most will give him credit for. Add in that he's shooting 44% from three-point range and 51% shooting from the field overall, and, again, it's impossible not to be impressed by what Ware has been able to do this preseason. Of course, the big question is, can Ware carry over the momentum he's built in the preseason over to the start of the regular season, and when it matters most? Kal-El, Ware's fork in the road. That's why Ware, despite his great play in the preseason, which should absolutely fire up fans, will mean nothing if he goes down the wrong path once the regular season begins. Truly, as SPO alluded to with his recent criticisms of Ware, it comes down to whether the young big man could play winning basketball or not. That's one thing that preseason doesn't really gauge. Players can post gaudy numbers, but because of the inconsistent competition, it's tough for the preseason to be considered a strong measuring stick for the regular season. That's what the Heat may be up against as they truly try to measure what Ware has done this preseason. Averaging 17 points and 11 rebounds per game looks awfully great on paper, but it's tough to confidently suggest that will translate to the regular season. Even after a strong showing in the preseason, it does appear as if Ware has two routes to choose between. He could either use the last few weeks to catapult himself to new heights with the Heat, or he could also spiral into a player who doesn't hold a ton of value in winning situations. One who possibly can't fit next to Bam Adebayo and the rest of this team's primary core. The hope is that everything has begun to click for Ware in the preseason, and he proves that with a strong start in the regular season. Either way, none of that, at least for now, should take away from the fans' excitement about what Ware has shown the team in the preseason. Miami Heat All-Star center Bam Adebayo said he feels fine after leaving Monday night's preseason loss at Atlanta with a knee contusion. Adebayo, 28, departed in the third quarter, finishing with 13 points and 9 rebounds in 19 minutes in a 119-118 overtime loss to the Hawks. Heat coach Erik Spoelstra said the decision to keep Adebayo on the bench for the rest of the game was precautionary. He just landed awkwardly, but he says he feels fine, Spoelstra said. We'll see when we get back to Miami. But as you saw, he was able to be out there the whole rest of the way on the bench. I just wanted to make sure it didn't go any worse, so I just kind of sat him from there. The Heat are 0-5 heading into Friday's preseason finale at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. Miami opens up the regular season on October 22nd at the Orlando Magic. A 3-time All-Star and 5-time All-Defensive Team selection, Adebayo averaged 18.1 points, 9.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and 1.3 steals in 78 games. All starts.